All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Guna Eagle Eye coming to you again with a brand new preview. This time I'm here to talk about Swansea versus Arsenal. And to do that, I brought on a couple of guests with me. First of all, let's bring on a regular and just say hello to the people. Ola, so hello, people. Ola.
How you doing, people? Thanks for having us back on the show, Chig. It's always nice to be back on your platform talking Arsenal. So yeah, thanks for bringing me back.
Thank you, man. No problem. And also, I brought on someone who's making their debut. Someone I've wanted to bring on for some time. He is the stat man when it comes to the Bergkamp Wonderland show. So a personal favourite of mine. Danny, say hello to the people.
Afternoon, people. How are you all?
All right. So really, we're just here, boys, just to talk a little bit about Arsenal. Seems like at the moment, whenever you look on something sports related or Sky Sports News, Arsenal seems to be top of the bill. So let's just address the elephant in the room. Danny, what are you thinking about our transfer business or our supposed transfer business? How do you see that running from now towards the end of the window?
Well, it's so hard to tell, isn't it? Apparently, that a boomerang. I'm going to say a boomerang because if I try and say no, I'm going to try and say Aubameyang. It's Aubameyang, isn't it? Oh, my brain up here. I'm going to get this wrong every time. As far as it goes for Pierre, he was involved in the Borussia Dortmund team bus. They got attacked by some. I think someone was trying to blow it up, or something happened last season, and the court case is still going on. And he's got to go and be a witness to the court case this week, coming week, I think on the Monday. So that's maybe one of the reasons why he's still in Germany. He started yesterday for Borussia Dortmund. He didn't score. I think they won 3-0 without checking. They've got Marco Reus was back playing again, and there was a couple of other. Yarmolenko, I think, was on the bench. Reus was on the bench, and I think it's partly because that the whole deal is taking time to go through. I know absolutely nobody in football, and I know nothing other than what I read on Twitter, which usually means it's wrong. But it's that could be one of the reasons. Or we could just be a little bit more negative and go, it's the same old Arsenal. A team goes, oh, we want X amount, and Arsenal offer half that amount. And they go, we'll take 3/4 of that amount, and we'll take Giroud. And they go, okay, we'll give you 10% of that amount, and we give you one of Giroud's legs. And I said, no, that's not what we want. And they go, okay, right, we want 100 million for Giroud, and you give us Pierre in exchange. They go, no, that's not how it's like trying to negotiate with a 3-year-old when you're trying to get it to eat its vegetables. It's an absolute nightmare, and whoever's doing it is taking forever. And that'd be the usual Arsenal way. But apparently Wenger hasn't got his finger in this pie as much as he would have all the other pies that he's had his fingers in and ruined. And it's going to be who is the bloke who does the stuff at Arsenal that Jason's always going on about and saying that he's useless? The bloke who sorts all
the Oracle, Einstein.
No. The bloke at
Gazidis.
Gazidis, that's the one. Yeah. Jason seems to think it's just because it's bloody useless, and that's why everything's taking so long. Hopefully we're going to see it, but I think that's the only other player we're after. But if we manage to go, the most important thing for me this transfer window is we got rid of so many players. I mean, I love Theo Walcott and I love the Ox, but they just weren't working. But we've got rid of so many players that for every season, pre-season, we go, right, we need to get rid of all this deadwood. We got rid of so many of them, Coquelin and Gabriel. And
the Coquelin deal kind of came from nowhere. I don't know about you. I was really surprised by that.
12 million quid. Bloody hell. From a player who I think he cost us 350 million when we got him from one of the French teams so long ago. And at one point you looked like we couldn't give him away. He went on loan to Freiburg and they were playing him as, I think they're playing him as a full-back and a centre-back, and they were playing him as a winger. And then they ended up cancelling the loan because they weren't playing him properly. And if you'd have said at that point, oh, we're going to get 12 million for him in a few years, you would have gone, no, you're crazy. But yeah, magnificent deal. And he's doing all right there at Valencia.
Yeah. Ola, how about yourself? I mean, do you know what I realised, Ola? I don't know what your opinion is on Aubameyang. Are you excited by the potential deal? What do you think about Arsenal's business so far?
So far, it's not enough. I mean, anybody had told us that we would get something back for Sanchez. I would have bitten your arm off for it at the time. It looked like the guy was going for free. So to get Mkhitaryan in for him in the first place, I think I'd say it's good business by Arsenal. The only thing is that enough? And the general consensus is it's not enough. So, bringing in someone like Aubameyang, I think will, it'll soften the blow of losing someone like Alexis, because look, as much as we might hate the way Alexis left the club, as much as we might, loathe the club he's gone to, let's face it, the guy gave us, 3 wonderful years. Let's not count the half that's happened this season. But we've had 3 wonderful years from Alexis Sanchez. We were going to lose him on the free. We were prepared to lose him on the free along with Mesut Ozil. But we've got, a very, very good player, Mkhitaryan, with him. Now the buzz for me is obviously bringing Aubameyang into the club with someone like Mkhitaryan that knows how he plays. And let's face it, it'd be the same if Arsenal had gone to get Fekir, because he knows how Lacazette plays. And it would have just made that attack a little bit more complete, a little bit more palatable, and would get more joy from teams, because they know how each other play. It's like Ozil ending up at Manchester United now with Alexis with him. These guys know how to play with it. They've played with each other for 3 years. So we're going to be getting a player in that mode that knows how the guy that's supposed to be feeding him, with service, how they make the runs, when to feed him, when to pass the ball, when to drop back, all that stuff. The only thing is, it's Arsenal. And when Arsenal's doing business, you just never know. You can't be counting your chickens till it's hatched. You can't even be counting your eggs till it's bloody laid with Arsenal. So, the way it is right now, we just have to wait. I know they're saying about this court case with Germany, but I don't know why that court case is. I don't see why that court case is in the way of this transaction, because Germany is not. It's not like he's going to Russia or he's going to like America, that's like 6,000-mile round trip. Alexis goes to Chile and comes back the next day. So, I don't see the problem in getting the signing done. Allow Dortmund enough time to get whatever player that they want to get in to replace Aubameyang. And when it's time for the hearing, go, do your hearing, hours time, 2 hours, come back, and it's job done. So I don't understand why the hearing is stopping the deal. But that seems to be the talk on social media. Whether it happened or not, I don't know at this point. It looks like we're serious about it, because we've sent all these guys over there, Raul and Diamond Eyes and Gazidis. So, if those guys don't come back with the goods, because last season, if you remember, Danny, we got tricked. We saw all these shopping photos with Mbappe and whoever else in the shopping bag. I don't know if you remember that. So we all got tricked last season. So this time, they better not trick, because they need to bring back the Bucci. So, yeah, they need to be bringing out the goods, come back with Aubameyang. And I think we need more than Aubameyang to make this window really, really, better than what we anticipated, and that's getting a defender in. But I'm sure we'll touch on that later on.
Ola touched on it just there, Danny, about the fact that we needed to kind of almost move in quickly for Aubameyang to allow Dortmund to replace him. There was a lot of talk, particularly earlier this week, late last week, about Giroud being one of the players to go over. I've seen a lot of consensus from Arsenal fans saying, no, they wouldn't let him go. He's a great plan B. But from Giroud's perspective, worried about being a plan B. He needs to be a plan A to get to the World Cup. Would you let go of Giroud for 6 months in order to get Aubameyang over the line?
Definitely not. Aubameyang's game is all about pace, and although he's 20, he's coming up to 29 or he's 29. I can't remember the Blackburn George theory on age. It's you either +1 or add 1 to his actual age. But we don't. As much as I'd love to have Aubameyang there, because I'm a Dortmund fan. I've been a Dortmund fan since their Champions League final in '97.
All right, okay.
Giroud gives us a different kind of plan B when things aren't going right. We've seen that so many times this season where, I think Giroud has played the second or third most number of games for us this season, the number of times that he came on as a sub and scored goals. But then the best example I give of when Giroud's on the pitch is, I think we were drawing or possibly losing. I can never remember the game, but he was over the right-hand side of the pitch. He took on 2 defenders and then laid the ball off to one of us, our other people. I think it might have been Lacazette, and Lacazette scored. It might have been Ozil or somebody like that. But Giroud offers something that you won't get from Lacazette and you won't get from Pierre. And that is something that a lot of teams in the Premier League want, because if things aren't going your way, playing pretty tippy-tappy football, then Giroud can come on. He's good in the air. He's got the elbows. He's a big, strong bloke. He can play with his back to goal. He can set stuff up for other people. He's just not going to come on and try and run the game with pace, because he's not going to be able to do that. And I'm worried about Pierre's attitude, because my friend Drew said that the management don't like him because at the end of last season, Dortmund got rid of their manager and got in the Ajax manager, who'd been runners-up or won the UEFA Cup. No, runners-up in the UEFA Cup. They lost to Man United. That was it. They got him in, and then they sacked him just before Christmas because they were having a terrible run. And then they've gone and got the manager in at the moment. It's a short-term one. He's the manager of bottom of the league, Cologne, who we played a couple of times in the Europa League, and I don't think he'll be there very long. They've got rid of some of their best players over the years, and they've produced so many great players. And this seems like they have a conveyor belt system for Bayern Munich, with all their best players go there, whether it's Lewandowski or whether it's, I think, Matt Hummels was the last one to go. And there's just a bit of a club in turmoil at the moment, but they've got such a great youth system. That's why they want to get rid of him, because he is. I mean, their fans had a big banner up in yesterday's game saying, I think it was something along the lines of that no play was bigger than the club, which was aimed at Pierre. So I'm not sure. Plus, didn't he come out in the media and say that Arsenal, he's going to use Arsenal as a stepping stone to Real Madrid? I mean, how can any player come out with that? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when he plans to make this move to Madrid. He's 28, going on 29.
Yeah, but as for Giroud, he's just, I love Giroud, and he's offered so much to the club. I don't want him to go and be shipped out as a make weight for someone who has no loyalty for the club. I don't think that's not going to be a good thing. Plus, Giroud's missus doesn't want to go to Germany. I think she likes living in London. But Giroud does need to play regular football, and I don't think he's going to get that at Arsenal with having Lacazette up front, let alone having Lacazette and Pierre up front. So it's going to be hard for Giroud. It's not really helping his situation that he's injured at the moment, so he can't come back and prove the invaluable player that he is. But no, I don't want him to go.
What was your feeling on Alexis Sanchez, by the way, Danny? I just wanted to get a quick take on that.
Didn't he give the ball away 33 times yesterday or something?
So every United top supporter texted me and told me.
Yeah,
like, that's what you're getting.
Yeah, but I don't want a player at the club who is going to be your deepest outfield player trying to do a 1-2 with check to get the ball, then running the length of the field to do it again. On his day, the bloke is an absolute dream, and I would already put him in my best Arsenal 11 on the left-hand side ahead of Perez. That's how good he was on his day. The goals, the assists, the constant running, everything I love about him. But he is like a petulant child. And I love El Neni. El Neni's one of my favourite players at the club. I just love his attitude. And if El Neni doesn't like him, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, that was a lovely swift dig at him when he did leave.
Oh, yeah, Danny, say hello to that pussy behind you, Bridget.
Oh. Dora. That's one of my cat's, Dora, and then I think her mum's on the floor, Bergie's over there, and Betty is in my room. Probably I've got 4 of them. Just me and 4 cats now. I'm getting old. I'm gonna smell faintly of cat piss all the time. I won't. They've got a cat flat. I'm just trying to be old. Yeah, so Sanchez, it had to happen though, didn't it? Because you can't keep a player at the club who's going to be going on a free transfer. So although if you've got the balance in scales and you weighed out, you go Mkhitaryan in one hand, Sanchez in the other. Well, Sanchez is by far the better player, But Sanchez leaving on a free in 6 months compared to getting a player that is worth 40, 50 million pound in this transfer market.
We know he's a good player. We know he's a good player.
His time when he was at Borussia Dortmund, he had 3 seasons there, and I think he played like 90 games, scored 30 goals, and got 30 assists. And that wasn't even in their title-winning runs.
Yeah, he's a very, very good player. Very, very good. Anyway, kind of moving on to the Chelsea performance. Ola, I haven't actually had an opportunity to watch your review of that game, but what was your take on that game? There's a lot of feeling at the moment that since Alexis has gone, that there's more of a togetherness. Now, there are some people that completely think that's BS. Friends of the show, that's what I think it's BS. And then there are other people who think that is very much valid. I must admit, I think there is some validity to it, for the simple reason that, as Danny says, no matter what, no matter how much you love a player, no matter how valuable you think he is to the team, he became a distraction. There's no smoke without fire. And it's very clear to me. I think the thing that was really most telling of all, is that when Theo left, there were all sorts of people saying, thank you, Theo, good luck, Theo, this, that, and the other. When Alexis left, you could hear a pin drop in terms of Twitter. Barely anyone. I think Mustafi said something, and then somebody else came out with something else a bit later. And then that was it.
It just goes to show you that when you get a job and your workplace asks you to go and get a reference, get 3 references. Alex could even put a reference together. Maybe he got one from Mustafi and that's it. So he definitely didn't get glowing character reference from the rest of his teammates going to Manchester United. But then it's easy to say that, because if any of them fuckers got a chance to go and earn $500,000 a week at Manchester United, who's to say they wouldn't grab it? So you have to look at it like that. Alexis became disinterested in being with Arsenal over a season ago, and the club was aware of it. Arsene Wenger was aware of it, and he knew going into the season that this is Alexis' state of mind. That's why he didn't start the first few games in the season. And when it came to and Alexis wasn't really performing like the Alexis we know, everybody started turning on him, and the club was instrumental to that. Alexis, I think, could have left with maybe a little bit more grace. Had the club done right by him, because he honored his contract in the end. But he only had he only had a certain amount of time on his contract. He didn't have to renew if he didn't want to renew. If the club had sold him a lie, telling him, we're gonna bring this and bring that to come and make the squad better, make the club better, and go for trophies and stuff. So they didn't keep their end of the bargain. Why should Alexis keep his? Now that side of things is clear, we then had to make a decision as a club. And I don't think we made that decision in the right way, because it clearly hurt the rest of the team. It hurt the fans. It hurt the club. And, a lot of people, a lot of parts and facets of the club was hurt because of this one decision. And, you could see in our league position, we've only just managed to grab 42 points. We've got 14 games left, and we've only just managed to make 42 points. That's crazy, So when you look at the whole gameplay that's gone on over the Palace game and the Chelsea game, you think maybe the rest of the teammates they're trying to unify as one and show a little bit of solidarity. I think Lacazette has suffered a lot with Alexis' presence in the team. Because Ozil and Alexis, they've been so used to finding each other that even when Lacazette is making very intelligent runs and that, they just ignore him. The one person that keeps trying to find Lacazette with the third man run or the late runs was Ramsey. And when he got injured, you see how Lacazette's goal dried up.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just, it's telling. You could see, even though it will be on the left-hand side over the last couple of games, I think it's scored against Palace. You've taken a lot of flack for Iwobi and defending Iwobi, but over the last couple of games, I think he's improved a little bit. They've had just that little bit more freedom without someone like Alexis. I was watching Alexis against what did they play the other day? Yeovil the other day, and it was doing his normal demanding the ball from Luke Shaw, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, Luke Shaw, you're doing some shit now. You give a shit pass to that boy, he will let you have it." You know what I mean? So
I can't wait for it to fall out with someone at United.
No. Yo, he's going to fall out with a lot of people. So, you know, the one that I want to see is him and Zlatan. When
me too. Zlatan is who I had in mind.
You know, so going back to, you know, how it's affected that team, it looks like they're playing with just that little bit more freedom. I think, you know, he's bringing Lacazette a little bit more into the game. He's getting involved a little bit more. He's still not. I mean, the goal is scored against Palace, that back heel from Mesut Ozil, that was brilliant. You know what I mean? And trust me, if Alexis had been on the pitch, I don't know if that very move would have happened. That same exact move there. So, you know, it's too early to judge, though. I have to definitely say it's too early to judge. I want to see over the next 5-7 games to see how they've really responded to Alexis not being there, and a lot of that would depend on how well Mkhitaryan, integrates with the rest of the team, and if he integrates well, and you know we nail this signing that we're trying to get, it might look like we might not even miss Alexis. So you know, only time will tell. I mean, when Vieira left, and Fabregas started playing in the middle for us. I remember I was playing a game against Inter. We won that game. And then, you know, it was all like, who's missing you, Vieira? We're not missing you. You know, so if we get these players in and they integrate well, it might just be the case that we start showing Alexis that, look, we're not missing you. And I think the best way to show Alexis we're not missing him is when we play against United in the return fixture and batter them. Make sure he doesn't score. And yeah, that would then show him we don't miss him. But until then, I'm reserving judgment.
Okay. Just moving on with slight focus to the game on Tuesday now. Danny, there's been a lot of focus now that Alexis has gone and that whole saga is at least temporarily wrapped up. There's a lot of focus on Lacazette's form. I mean, you had a bunch of Chelsea fans today trolling Arsenal fans about the fact that Batshuayi has scored more goals than Lacazette now. And I think there is a lot of concern that his confidence is a bit low and he's not producing as much as people expected. And now with the focus now on bringing Aubameyang on, there's a lot of debate now. Will they play together, or is Lacazette going to be the one to be the sacrificial lamb and sit on the bench? And do you have any concerns? I know Chris, who's on your show, is a massive fan of Lacazette. I just wanted to get your take on Lacazette and what you think his form is like this season.
Yeah, I'm quite a fan of Ligue 1 as well. My team can't. They're shit. Chris's team got relegated last season, so and they're not even doing too well in the second division. But I've been a fan of Lacazette for years. I mean, you watch some of the stuff that he did at Lyon was magnificent. But like all I was saying earlier, a lot of that was down to Fekir. Now, Fekir would play in the kind of Bergkamp role, playing one of the double tens behind. And I think if you've got Fekir in there, not only are they mates, but they've done so much good stuff. And at the end this season, Fekir has been playing more attacking. I hope Chris isn't. I guess I got that wrong. But Fekir has been scoring more goals, getting more involved now that Lacazette isn't there. I know they brought in some other striker whose name I can't remember. But it's a fantastic play. I'm just looking at his stats here. He's got 9 goals in 24 Premier League games. Yeah. Well, that's not too bad. But he did go a spell where he, I think, I'm just looking here. He hadn't, from the last time he scored was against Man United on the 2nd of December. And then he didn't score again until it was against Crystal Palace last week. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games without scoring. But he did get 3 assists in that time.
True.
But then if you're playing with Sanchez, you've got to be thinking, hold on, Sanchez, you're playing in this dual 10 behind me with Ozil, and I'm the striker. Will you give me the ball and let me do the goal scoring? Because that's what I'm here for.
True.
I'm not here to go, okay, right, give me, oh, Sanchez is in front of me. Oh, Sanchez is offside. Oh, Sanchez. Oh, now he's on the right wing. He's on the left wing. Now goal. He's playing rush goalkeeper. Oh, he's playing left back. You're thinking it's like trying to play football with a wasp. It's just all over the place, buzzing everywhere, and you can't concentrate. We need people to be a little bit more regimental into the positions that they stay in, and then you're going to have Mkhitaryan and Ozil. They'll be giving the ball to Lacazette, who's going to try and score the goals, and that's what his job is.
Yeah.
And if people stick to doing those things, then you're going to get a lot more out of Lacazette. But yeah, I think there might be a little bit of a confidence issue. And plus, he's never happy when he's been subbed off. Now, in the last 4 Premier League games, he's played 90 minutes 4 times. And I would have thought before that, because he was always coming off in 75th, 73rd, 70-odd minute, you'd think, oh, he'd come off and he didn't look happy, because a player of his ability, it's when it comes to that point in the game that he's going to be able to turn the defenders inside out, and in the last 15, 20 minutes of a game, really be on his game and start to get the goals. And if he's been taken off then he's going to be getting annoyed, because he's not going to get the chance to do that. But then in the last few games, he hasn't been scoring the goals, but we've been in such a terrible run of form. But yeah, so I'm happy with him. I will let him play up there for the rest of the season. And I think if you went back and looked through time, Thierry Henry, when he came to Arsenal, he scored, I think, 2 goals in his first 17 games.
Yeah, true.
Dennis Bergkamp was notoriously hassled by everybody in the crowd until he scored that. Was it a hat-trick against Southampton? Or goals against Southampton? And that was about 7 or 8 games in. It's just going to take a while for people to get used to playing. He's playing it in a different league, in a team with much higher quality players, and playing in a slightly different formation, because I don't think he's got anybody at the club now who is the same kind of ability. It's like getting Ian Wright, Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry Henry, or Bergkamp and Ian Wright. You put another player in either one of those positions, and the other one isn't going to perform as well for quite a while until they get used to having that synchronicity with each other. Because at times, you could blindfold Bergkamp and he would know where Wright or Henry were on the pitch. It's like he had some kind of inbuilt radar. It just takes time. And we should stick with it. And Lacazette is going to be fine. And if we do get Pierre, I was asking Drew about this, and he said that Pierre's best position is as a striker. Now, I know Jason from my pod, he often says that he'd love to see 2 people playing up front. Now, I'm not sure if you can play Lacazette and Pierre at the same time up front, because they are quite similar players. Yeah. But I think I'd give it a go. I mean, this season is just a season of change, isn't it? I mean, I'd like to say with the latest evolution of our tactics is playing El Neni in behind ahead of the front 4. Ahead of the front 4, what am I on about? He's ahead of the back 4. Now that has worked really well for 2 games, and it's not we've always thought, we need someone who's 6'9" and built like someone from Game of Thrones to play in that position behind in front of the 2 centre backs. But it turns out El Neni is doing that fine. He's so quick, he's so nimble. He'll slide in, he'll get the ball, he'll get up again, he'll go running off. He's got a good pass from him. He's got a half decent shot. And so maybe, who knows, we could see another evolution of the Arsenal attacking lineup where we could play a Boomerang and Lacazette up front together, and have 1 or 2 playing in behind them, because I know some people in the chat box have been saying they don't think Ozil's going to stay. I think it's got a lot. If we are going to sign Pierre, and we'll have Pierre, Mkhitaryan, Lacazette, they're all on big money. And now that we're still in the Europa League, we can't afford to go, unless we win the Europa League, then we can get a massive rise in next year's revenue. Then we won't have the money to pay all of these players this money. And sometimes I think Ozil just isn't really up for it.
Although, to be fair to Ozil, he's been brilliant this season. He really has.
Yeah, but remember the last season he was scoring goals, not getting enough assists, and people were moaning. The season before that, getting loads of assists, nearly broke the record before Christmas, and people were moaning he doesn't score enough goals. I think there was so much pressure on him, and it's the same thing with Lacazette and Sanchez. With Ozil playing with Sanchez, you've got to think Ozil's going to be thinking he's a really disciplined player. It'll work. I mean, he runs more than most people in the team, and you've got to be thinking Ozil's thinking, oh, for God's sake, I've got this clown next to me who is like, a little yappy dog on speed. He won't sit still. No positional, no positional discipline. Yeah. So I think everything's going to start changing and things are going to start clicking. So I think we're going to have an interesting second half to the season.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess
always. I often forget what the question was, and I just start rambling on about shit.
You did. No, you did. You did. In terms of Swansea, Ola, this game would have been a given maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago. But fair play to Swansea. They're showing some fight at the moment. They're not messing around. I mean, I was looking at the league table the other day. There's like 6 points between 20th and 11th. I mean, they can really, if they continue their form, they could easily stay up. This is not a given on Tuesday, is it?
No, it's not. And, you know, that's it kind of annoys me a little bit when we get good results against the so-called little teams. They say, oh, they're not that great anyways. And when we lose to them, it's a fucking crisis. To me, every team in the Premier League is worth 3 points, right? You can only play what's in front of you. And let's not forget, you know, Swansea beat Liverpool the other day. I mean, Liverpool's beat top of the table in Man City in a game that a lot of the people were touting maybe Man City might do the invisible thing, and they didn't. Liverpool stopped them. Now the following week, Liverpool's gone and lost to Swansea. It just shows you how unpredictable the Premier League is, and you know it's never a given because you have to look at how desperate Swansea is now to avoid the drop. It's a lot of money that's going to be lost. They're not going to be able to afford the wages of the players. They still got some really good technical players in their squad, and if they were to go down, you know, how are they going to be able to afford to pay all those guys their wages if they get the drop? So every team in that 12th to 20th position, they're all fighting for their lives because they know at any time they could easily drop back in it. And let's face it, you know, every time I remember when they had what's that guy's name with the dreadlocks? He used to do that lion celebration. Well, what's his name? I forgot his name. They used to terrorize us. I mean, Swansea was like our bogey team. And
Michi. Michi.
No, it wasn't Michi. His name will come back to me in a minute. But you know, they used to terrorize us, and the guy is from the French league. The guy I'm talking about. Gomis, that's the one. Big up Oliver Forway. And Mujib Ahmed, big up for reminding us. Yeah. So Gomis, when they had that guy that they used to terrorize, they were like a bogey team. We couldn't play Swansea and get proper result. So, you know, for me, I think we have to take the game seriously. We now have to rack up points up until the next big fixture that we got. I think is Man City coming up. So we need to rack up a lot of points, try and get that fourth spot. I know it's not what every Arsenal fan wants to hear, but if you look at the start of the season, the transfer window we had suggested that we weren't going to challenge for the title. You know, we were just going to try and get back into the top four, and it looks like that's still the target for the club. So whichever way they can get back into the Champions League, either going through the top four route or winning the Europa League, I'll take either of those. Although, if we could get both, that would be magnificent. If we can win the Europa League and get fourth spot, but there's a lot of moving parts that has to happen for us to be able to achieve that aim. But right now, we just have to focus on the next game. Swansea is the next target. Let's go and get 3 points from it. It's the away game as well on a Tuesday night. So, you know, that's gonna be hard for the traveling fans. But you know, you got to salute all those guys that's going out there. I know Lee Gunner's going out there. So it's gonna be a mad one. We need the points, and we can't underestimate them right now. They're still a team in the Premier League fighting for their lives, and the most dangerous teams to play are the teams that got nothing to lose. So we need to take them seriously.
I agree. Danny, how are you feeling about the Swansea game going into Tuesday and their form just picking up a little bit?
Yeah, that was a weird one. I had my mate Ren round here for on Friday, and with my mate Anna, she's a Liverpool fan, and he does that. In the Fast Show, they did that sketch where that bloke comes in and he has not a clue about football. He goes, "Oh, they've done a goal! Oh, terrific!" He tends to be a little bit like that. And he said, "Well, how's it all going?" I said, "Oh, Liverpool stopped Man City from doing the invincible," which, like Ola was saying, I honestly thought they were going to end up doing it because they're so jammy. And then they hammer them, they humiliate them. And then the next game, Liverpool go and lose to the bottom of the league, Swansea. How does that work? And then Swansea, you think they'd be up for it, and then they go away to Notts County and they draw 1-1 in the FA Cup with a much weakened team, no doubt. I've not seen. I only watched the Peterborough highlights and the what's the other? I watched a couple of the highlights on Match of the Day last night. The Liverpool one, that was it.
Yeah.
Come on, boing, boing, baggies. Swansea are, like I was saying, Swansea have been our bogey team for quite a while, but they are terrible at the moment. Just looking at the Premier League table, they're bottom. They've only won 5 out of 24 games. They've scored 15 goals in 24 games, and they've conceded 35. So I'm sure there's someone out there. There's this new X rating or XD. I don't even know what those initials stand for.
XG or X.
Yeah, what do they stand for? The X and the D.
I don't know, man.
I think they just make
I thought you the technical guy, man. You're supposed to know these things, Daddy.
Well, I know that they. I just don't know what they stand for. All I pretend I know it all. It's easy like that. But Swansea are rubbish. I don't like Swansea. I don't even want Swansea in the Premier League. They're Welsh. What are they doing in the English Premier League?
Oh, okay.
We should either invite the Scottish teams in and the Irish teams in and have it as all of them, or have none of them. So I hope Swansea get relegated and then them and Cardiff are never seen in the Premier League again. Partly because they are hoodoo. They always do us. So we should go there and beat them. They're a team in turmoil. But Fabianski, he is going to have the game of the season every time that he plays us, just to show to Wenger that he's still a great goalkeeper. Even he is a good goalkeeper. He's better than old David Ospina with his no neck. So I think we should beat them. Yeah, I think we should confidently beat them. If they were mid-table, then I wouldn't be as confident. But yeah, they're not that good, which means they'll beat us 5-0.
God, why not? So normally what I do around about now is I kind of do a hopeful 1 to 11, because I always say it's anyone's guess what Arsenal team will actually come out with. But I always ask my guests, what 11 would you have to go and face Swansea and the threats of Swansea? So, Ola, what would your 1 to 11 be and why?
This is picking it without any change with the transfer window. So having in mind that maybe, we might sign somebody or not that might end up playing that game. I'm going to go with Czech, Bellerin on the right, Koscielny, Monreal in the middle. I still think, Mustafi is back as well. So yeah, Monreal, Mustafi, Koscielny, all in the back four.
So you go with the back four first.
Yeah, I'm going with the back four first. So that's my back four. El Nene and Maitland-Niles in front of the back four. I'll go with Ozil, Iwobi, and Jack, and Lacazette up front. That would be my squad. But that's if Wenger is that's if Wenger is obviously living up to his promise that Niles is gonna be the replacement for Coquelin and I'm gonna start playing in that defensive midfield role. I want to say, and this is the type of game that it could definitely
test him out. Yeah,
you can test him out in this sort of game.
I agree with that. Spoiler alert, that's also my team. I quite like that. Danny, what would your 1 to 11 be?
Same back four as you lot, and then my central midfield 3 would be El Neni covering the 2 centre backs, and then either side of him I'd have Ramsey and Wilshere, and then I'd have Ozil playing just off Lacazette, and then See, I'd like to have Maitland. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll put Maitland-Niles in the middle with El Neni and Wilshere. And so I'd say to Maitland-Niles, go and do what for the first team, what you do for the youth teams, because he's been magnificent there. He's not a fullback; he's a midfielder.
Fantastic.
So you can have El Neni there, Wilshere, and Ashley and Ainsley.
Ainsley.
And then I'll have Ramsey and Ozil playing behind Lacazette with both of them just saying, go off and do what you want. Because I reckon if we play Ramsey in that double 10 role, he might be able to go and reclaim the kind of form that he had when he had that season where he scored 16 goals. I know he was mainly playing as an out-and-out number 10 that season. And he's lost a bit of pace with all of his injuries, and he's coming back from injury. So, yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd love to see Kolasinac playing, but he cannot take Monreal out of that team. And I don't really like to see Monreal playing at centre-back, and I'm not going to go to playing three centre-backs. If you play three centre-backs and play wing-backs, that means Bellerin doesn't play well, and then we can't have the three men in central midfield that I want. So
I totally agree with you. I think Bellerin plays better in the back four. It's a shame with Kolasinac because you feel like, what can you do? But you can't drop Monreal. You can't. He's playing amazing at the moment.
We all agree that Xhaka is dropping.
This is the thing. Your predictions for the game. I just asked the chat room to drop us a couple of questions. And just good old Mr. DJ has popped up with one. I'm going to ask Danny.
Mr. DJ, large up yourself, brother.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask Danny this one. Just thoughts on. Gosh, he's asked two questions. Let me pick one of them. What are your thoughts, Danny? Actually, this is a good one for you. What is your thoughts on Jack being the captain? Do you agree with calls for this?
Because at the moment the captain is Mertesacker, who's never going to play again. He's going to do a Gary Neville and retire halfway through the season after he's realised that he cannot do it anymore.
Yeah.
Our backup captain is Koscielny, who I think is our vice captain is Koscielny, who if he had his way, he would just stand there for the entire game and never say another word. I love Mustafi because Mustafi really gets in there and he is shouting and screaming. I think as a team, we should always have someone in midfield or as a central defender who is going to be my mustache is tickling my nostrils. Don't worry, I'm not picking my nose. So I like to have a central midfielder or a centre back, someone who's going to be middle of the pitch around that kind of area to be the captain. So I think if you can't take it off of the vice captaincy, you can't take that off of Koscielny. But what you can do is have more than one vice captain. I know Koscielny's been a bit of a senior member of the team, so I don't think this will happen. But yeah, I'd like to see Jack have it. I'd like to see Jack get a new 5-year contract for however much money he wants. Because I've said a few times that the thing I really admire about Jack, he is an established England international. Before he's got his injury, before that season, before he went on loan to Bournemouth, he was playing regularly for England and he was regularly getting man of the match and he was magnificent for England. And a player like that who's been at the club for most of his life and played all them games and won all that stuff with us, for him to be dropped from the first team and only playing as a sub in the Europa League and not to come out in the papers and bitch and whine and, I'm going to go full Sanchez or any of these. He didn't do any of that lot. He has been dignified. He has been the perfect Arsenal player and he has grown up so much. That loan at Bournemouth did him wonders because I think for 3/4 of that season he was a regular starter in a poor team. He didn't really score any goals. He didn't score any goals. I think he got 1 or 2 assists. But that was only to go and get him fit. And he's probably now that the Ox and Theo have left, I think he's got to be one of my favourite players at the club. I just love everything about Jack. So maybe next season, because Per Mertesacker will have retired, say next season you're going to be captain. Because then you're not upset.
I'm kind of with you. I love watching Jack when he's in complete and utter full flow. It's just one of the best players in the Premier League to watch.
He's brilliant.
I'm going to ask you, Mr. DJ's other question, and that is, what are your thoughts on Ozil in terms of why he isn't given as much stick for not committing to the club like Alexis was?
I mean, like our good friend Ligona has always said, his PR game has been spot on, and You know, he hasn't antagonized. He's played some of his best football this season in a long time. Some of the performances that he's come up with, he's got quite a few man of the matches this season. I mean, he's not been so present in games where you need someone in the trenches with you, and you need someone to roll up the sleeve with you. But when it comes to them home games, or some of the other important games that the high maintenance sort of games, you find Ozil there, and he's been pulling the strings a lot this season. So that's probably why the fans hasn't got on his back a lot. He's on Instagram a lot talking about how he's renovated his house and he's put this new badge for the branding of his product on some, I think it's a door or something, or cupboard or something in his house, which is showing people that he's not really moving away from where he's living right now. So that's suggesting to people that he's gonna be staying at the club. There's a lot of things that he's doing subliminally that's trying to show people that, look, I'm gonna commit to the club. I think the only time he really got on his high horse was when he was telling the legends or the ex-players to support the club and stuff like that. And Ian Wright got back to him and said, "Listen, you can't tell us none of that until you put pen to paper." So other than that, I think so far this season he's been excellent. He's playing us all. If he doesn't sign and he moves somewhere else, then he's played a right good in on everyone if he manages to do that. But the general expectation and consensus is that he's going to sign, and I think that's why a lot of the fans are quite relaxed about it. A good portion of the fans. Some people
What's your expectation? What's your expectation?
I hope we pay him what he wants, because he's a really good player for us. We will be worse without Ozil than with him. So definitely, you don't want to lose. He's a world-class player at the end of the day. A lot of the time when he chooses to be, but when he's on it, he is really on the money. And he's a fantastic player to have in the squad, and he's the type of player that you can go and name drop to other players when you want to sign players and say you're going to be playing with the likes of Ozil, and it would look attractive to them. So having a player like that in your squad, you definitely need someone like that to at least attract other players when we're in the window, if we do decide to spend money. So I think that's why Ozil isn't getting a hard time from the fans. So I hope I answered your question, Mr. DJ.
He's very much enjoyed the responses to the questions. I'll tell you what, Archie's made a good point, and I'm gonna ask both of you this.
Yeah.
Do you think that Ozil is purely just waiting to see who we sign?
I think there's the element of that there. There is, we've said earlier on, Mkhitaryan definitely isn't enough. For me, I think we need a defensive surgery along with a new defensive coach. This Baldy guy on the bench, it's not working for me. I don't know what the guy does there. I don't know what his role actually is at the club. We need a proper defensive coach, because it don't matter if we get someone like, say we go and spend the Van Dijk sort of money on the defender. If we haven't got a defensive coach that's going to keep sharpening their tools, because obviously you might have a good player, but you still need to keep them stimulated and not be bored in training to get the best out of them and stuff like that. And if we haven't got one of those, it's just going to turn to shit. So, it's all right buying a good defender, but you need someone to stimulate their mind to demand the best out of them. And at Arsenal, I don't think we've got that person that's going to demand 100% from whatever defender, whatever defensive midfielder we get. Even our attacking force, you can see it. We're not getting, the main thing, we're not getting 100% from these players. And We definitely need that. We need to get that part of the squad sorted out. 100%.
How about you, Danny? What do you reckon about that?
It's hard to say. You would think that if we are a club and everyone knows we're a selling club, and Man United have come in and taken Sanchez, that would show other clubs that Ozil's available. Now Ozil hasn't signed a new contract. He's gonna. The things I've read in the papers are that he wants his own image rights, which means he will save a fortune on wages because he'll get all of that lot. That he wants the Mo 10. So he'll take the 10 off of Jack. It's been rumoured that they're two of the things that he wants, and that will help lower his deal. But like when he came from Real Madrid, nobody else wanted him. I think Liverpool were after Sanchez, but as well, no one wanted him either. Now, the entire time that he's been at Arsenal, no one's come in for a bid that we know of. He doesn't ever do anything wrong, but he isn't the player that when you think, Ozil, world-class player, he's not the same player for Arsenal that he is for Germany, where he will run the entire game. I mean, I don't have a problem with Ozil, but I don't think he's a player where he's worth the £300,000-400,000 a week that he may be wanting. And maybe the club have gone, we can't afford to pay you that. And what do we pay for him? 42.5?
Yeah, 42.5, yeah.
Because I know Steve often explains this amortization thing where you can, as a player gets older and he's worth less and less, you can write off that value that you've lost due to his future transfer fee with some kind of tax thing. That's as far as I know. I've probably got that completely wrong. But they are probably looking at it. We can't afford to pay him the money that he wants. We know that he can go to any other of the leagues in the world where they do pay that kind of money outside of the top 4 or 5 leagues. I don't think he'll ever go to PSG, so that's France ruled out. Italy can't afford him. He's already been to Spain, and those two, the big two there, don't want him. Germany, they don't pay high wages like that for him. So he's only 29. I think he's still got one good contract left in him because he is not a player that relies on pace, is he? He relies on his ability to read the game. He's a yard ahead of everybody else when it comes to thinking. I'd be really happy if he stayed. So maybe if he has his image rights and he gets the shirt number, and then we could probably get him for, I don't know, maybe 250 grand a week. I'd be happy to keep him. It's not my money. I'd rather he stays at the club because he is a focal point of our attacking. And it is one of those marquee signings. So I hope he stays, but I have no idea what's going on. There could be many different things.
Surely there's a deal to be had here. If you give Jack a captaincy, I'm sure Jack would be happy to relinquish number 10 if it means Ozil staying, surely.
We've had a problem with the number 10, haven't we? Because William Gallas had the number 10 and he was a centre-back. I don't think a lot of people care about the squad numbers. Like me and Chris are quite OCD about squad numbers. It drives me crazy that Bellerin still isn't number 2. So hopefully Bellerin's number 2 when Debuchy goes. But even the Debuchy thing, where he's on £80,000 a week, and it's rumoured that Bordeaux want him and a few other teams. No, Bordeaux had him last season, had him on loan. There's another friend, I think it's Saint Etienne, that want him on loan or want him on a free transfer. Yeah. So we're going to have to maybe pay some of his wages, like Man City did with Adebayor. When he left, they were still paying his wages when he was at the next 2 clubs because it was part of the.
I remember we were still playing Alexis Song wages when it was at Barcelona. You know, they didn't even make all the payments at the time when it went over there. So, you know, it's just one of those weird businesses that Arsenal. I don't know who does our businesses for us. You know, it's never. Whenever we do business, we never seem to get the right negotiations, the right money for the player. We never seem to. I see all these clubs selling players for big ass money, and we sell all our players for pittance every time.
Coutinho went for what, 140 million. Then and he didn't have a good season last season as Sanchez had. So that makes Sanchez a £150 million player. And we swapped him for a player that was worth about 40-50 million. It's Arsenal, isn't it? With a soft touch.
I mean, when you look back and watching that Darren Bent, remember Darren Bent went for more money. I think he went for 2 more million or 3 more money than Thierry Henry at the time. You know, our business, the way we do business hasn't been proper for a long time. And you know, hopefully, you know, after this guy's regime, when Wenger's gone at the end of the season, fingers crossed, we're gonna start doing some good business in the right areas and the right way. But right now, the way we do business is just backwards. It's like people are moonwalking into fucking stone ages, and it's ridiculous. That it really is.
True.
You know what I realised, by the way, just as a quick change of subject, I'm surprised the chat room didn't jump on us for doing this. In all of our 1 to 11s, none of us included Mkhitaryan.
Yeah, it still depends on how he integrates in training, and that's how I'm looking at it. He could end up on the bench and come on maybe for the next 15. Well, I mean the last 15 minutes of the game, and that just to see how it gets on with him.
You just wouldn't start him in this game.
Yeah. Starting 11 is what we mentioned, but I'd have him in this. He'd more than likely be on the squad anyways. He'd be in the squad.
What's his role going to be though? Is he going to be a central midfield like Santi role, or because he's both footed, or is he going to be playing a replacement for Sanchez?
I think he'll probably take Iwobi's spot. Coming on the left, and him and Ozil can interchange with Wilshere as the wish. Where if we get that free flowing football going again, we've got the guys to do it now in Wilshere, Ozil, and Mkhitaryan. Those three can actually make a midfield as silk as a baby's bottom. So if he starts to integrate himself properly into the squad, I can see him, taking that left hand role away from Iwobi. So only time will tell, but we'll see how we get on when it gets game time.
The reason I didn't put him in is because I looked yesterday. I was looking at his recent games for Man United. In the recent run of Premier League games, not in squad, on the bench, played 65, 45, 7, and the 5 before that, not in the squad. Then he played 19, not in the squad. I'm not sure that he'd be fully match fit. So I'd do what Ola says, have him on the bench and then bring him on and work him into the team, because you can't just walk into and start playing in there, because you can have people like Ramsey and a couple of others that are going to be going, and maybe even Iwobi going, well, it's not really fair. This player's just walking straight in. He's not been playing regularly for Man United. I mean, this season in the Premier League for Man United, or all competitions for Man United,
he has to fight to get into the first 11. I'd say he has to fight.
22 games, 2 goals, 6 assists. That's terrible for a player like him, but he's not really had the chance. But in 15 Premier League games, he's had 5 assists. That's not bad, is it?
This is true. Okay, well, let's start to kind of move towards wrapping things up. Before we go, let me get both of your predictions, starting with Ola, in terms of what you think the prediction will be in terms of the result and why.
This is a tough one. I'm gonna go with 2-1 scoreline. I think we've been doing a lot of 2-1s lately, so I'm just gonna go with that. I'll go with Lacazette. I so want him to score another Premier League goal, so I'm rooting for him. I hope he does. And off the bench, debut goal for Mkhitaryan. Stick a middle finger up to United. How about that?
Okay. How about yourself, Danny?
What does he want? You want the score and the first score, did you say?
Scorers, and why do you think that that will be the scoreline?
Swansea are going to come and they're going to play. They're going to put 15 men behind the ball, and they're at home and they're not going to let us have anything. So I think we may do them from a set piece. And I've just got a feeling that the gingered bearded wonder that is Mustafi is going to score from a corner or something like that. Yeah, or one of our big boys is going to score from a they've just scored against Barcelona. Guidetti used to be at Man City. Excellent.
Oh wow! Oh gosh, Barca losing.
And I think that's just gonna. Hopefully, we're gonna beat them. They have been our bogey team over the last few years, but they are very, very poor. It's going to just take a while for us to break them down. Maybe let them have a little opening so they charge forward and get them on the counter attack. But yeah, I think it's going to be from a corner or a set free kick or a set piece that we're going to start it. And hopefully, once they start to crumble, they'll fall apart and we'll beat them. I think maybe 3-0. I can't see them scoring a goal.
Wow, okay. Back in our defence, that's different.
That's the only reason I give them a 1. You know what I mean? At least just to cover that base that they're probably going to end up scoring the goal. So they always go past us.
I think also it will be a tight game. I think they'll fight. I think Mkhitaryan is going to come in and make a major impact. I think he's got a lot to prove. I think he'll be determined. I can see him getting a couple of assists. And Lacazette getting himself a brace. So I'm going to go with 2-1 for that one. So that's pretty much it from us. Thank you to the kind of 95, 96 odd that joined us on the Sunday night. Thank you so much for that. I know there was another show running live at the time, so very much thank you for that. As if you guys don't know, but Danny, let the people know where they can find you on Twitter and also your Bergkamp Wonderland podcast, which was actually the second podcast I subscribed to when I joined YouTube. So I really do like that podcast.
That's very nice of you. Yeah, I'm at _GFP. That's my car, not me, because I'm not German. I'm not a flower pot. And at Bergkamp Wonderland, just go and type in Bergkamp Wonderland in Google. You'll find all the places that we are. And we do a live show 10 minutes after every after every single game. We haven't missed a game since I got the hump once because Google Hangouts wasn't working, and I went, "No, fucking doing it!" And that was 3 seasons of that now. And we do a podcast every Thursday. But when we get back into the swing of the Europa League, it goes back to Mondays or Tuesdays. So you can go and find us there. And thank you very much for inviting me. It's been fun. It's always good to speak to Ola.
Yeah,
we've had him on a couple of transfer deadline day ones when he's on his
phone.
Yeah.
And Ola, let the people know where they can find you, particularly your YouTube show, which is a crime you don't have more subs, I'll tell you.
I'm on Twitter, Black Scorpion 3, and my YouTube channel is Capital Scorpions TV on YouTube. Just go over there, check out what we're doing over there. Subscribe. Definitely need more audience. Could do with a few subscribers. So please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go down there. I'm sure Chig is going to put the link below. So yeah, go down there, subscribe, and check out what we do on there. We talk about the games and transfers and whatever needs addressing. And if I've got the hump with the club, I go on there and vent out as well. So I haven't been working on it for quite a while because of work. But from a few nudges from people like Chig, Mr. DJ, shout out to you, Ligona. Those guys got me back on the horse. So yeah, I'm back on it. And please go give us a subscription and follow us on there. Thank you.
Yeah. He's also won, like Lee, he's won for the car video. So he'll be offered in his car just recording something. So go and check that out if you want to see Ola's version of that. Thank you so much for you guys watching. Absolutely crush that like button. Destroy it for me. I appreciate it every time you guys do that. And also, if you're listening to me for the first time, because I'm aware Danny has fans, and you're probably thinking, oh, who's this guy? Who's this geezer? I'm curious to see if any of this stuff is good. Hit that subscribe button. And I promise you, hopefully, at the very least, it won't be boring. I promise you that. So hit that subscribe button for me. We're out of it, really. Take care, people. Have a good Sunday night. Peace.
Salute.